Chaos at the Capitol as rowdy crowds finished the filibuster for Fort Worth State Senator Wendy Davis. That killed a bill that would have banned abortion after 20 weeks and instituted requirements that could have closed all but 5 abortion clinics in the state. Republicans tried to take a vote as the clock ticked toward that midnight deadline, but they were too late. Governor Perry, ready for round 2, he ordered another special session to begin Monday and specifically called out the protesters saying, quote, "We will not allow the breakdown of decorum and decency to prevent us from doing what the people of this state hired us to do." 11 hours into State Senator Wendy Davis's filibuster, it looked like Republicans would be able to push the bill through. But after Davis got her final warning on a technicality, warning number 3, Democrats stalled by questioning the rules. About 15 minutes before midnight, lawmakers then lost control of the crowd. With seconds to go, Republicans then went to the front of the room. They were trying to vote on that bill. After that, well, another round of confusion. Democrats said the deadline had passed before the vote, and it took more than 2 hours for Lieutenant Governor David Dewhurst to announce the bill failed. Today, Davis said it was worth it and that Texans were heard.
It's just been a blur today, and what I'm feeling from the phone calls that we're getting, from social media messages that we're getting, people across Texas and across the country watched this happen and feel empowered that their voices and their values were reflected in the debate that occurred in the Senate yesterday. The Lieutenant Governor demonstrated yesterday that they were willing to run roughshod over essentially every rule and every tradition that we hold dear here in the Texas Senate.
Now, after the governor called the special session, Davis said she is ready. A statement reads, quote, "If leaders intend to keep pushing their extreme personal political agenda ahead of the interests of Texas families, I will not back off of my duty to fight on their behalf."
2 of the North Texas senators in the chambers last night are with us in studio tonight. Republican Senator Kelly Hancock, he's District 9, covers parts of Dallas and Tarrant County. Democratic Senator Royce West, District 23, covers part of Dallas County. And as I look at you from one of these cameras, Senator West is asked to be seated on the far right. No, I'm just kidding. He has it. All right, gentlemen, I don't want to re-debate or in any form or fashion SB 5, but I do kind of want to break this into 2 segments, I guess. Let's talk about what happened up until about 11:45 last night. Senator West, this thing was playing out, Senator Davis filibustering and Republicans trying to stop it. Did we see democracy at play? That's just how it goes, right?
And Heather, in the introduction piece, said
yes.
Chaos. It wasn't chaos last night.
That's how it works, right?
But no, the reality is we had government for the people, of the people, and by the people last night. The people were there last night, and they saw exactly what was going on. Now, the reality is this. The Republican Party has the majority, and it's an agenda item for them, and they're trying to pass it. But you shouldn't play with the rules in order to get it done.
Okay, you kind of jumped ahead. So Kelly, let me go ahead. We have heard that from Democrats. That's the voice of the people being heard. Is that how the voice of the people is supposed to be heard?
Well, and let's go back. The rules also allow for something that we haven't talked about, and the rules allow for a call for the question. What Republicans could have done,
which is just stop a filibuster dead in its tracks.
And immediately we go to the vote. The Republicans met together out of respect for the Senate, out of the respect for our colleagues, agreed that we were not going to call for the question. We had we have to have 5 seconds, and then you have to take to a vote. Clearly we had the numbers to, within the rules, eliminate the filibuster out of respect for our colleagues. We allowed a filibuster to continue until chaos broke out, and we were no longer allowed to follow the rules of the Senate because you could not hear anyone.
And again, and I respect my colleagues' right to say it was chaos, but what caused the chaos was citizens of the state of Texas recognizing what was being done on the floor as relates to the interpretation of the rules. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
As relates to the germaneness issue, that's inside stuff.
If during the filibuster she stayed on topic, basically,
right. Yeah. And so the issue of a sonogram came up. And obviously, before you can have an abortion in the state of Texas, you have to have a sonogram.
Which was a different bill from last session.
Well, but it's any time you're having a discussion like we're having a discussion now, you can kind of compare, contrast, and whole different ways.
But those are techniques. I enjoyed your technique last night. You said it by law. You can write that order. I want it written and read to me. I mean, kind of this. It's just procedural.
That's exactly right.
It's interesting, and it can slow things down. But I do want to play the video of kind of this chaos brewing, and let's take a look, and then we'll talk about it. So let's hear after one senator said, what does it take to be recognized as a woman on the Senate floor? Here's the reaction. And so that kind of kicked it off. And then, Senator Hancock, you said this changed, the mob mentality changed legislation in Texas.
Well, I did. And let's go back. You had a female senator say, what's it take for a female senator to be recognized on the floor after a female senator had just spent 12 hours speaking on the floor? Well, purely that was a political statement that created a ruckus. And what happened at that point is many elected officials, most of them House members, began to, like an NBA Finals game, create an excitement and get the crowd involved in this after the crowd had been requested on 3 different occasions to follow the rules.
Well, but I understand something. The characterization is that it's chaos and a mob. There was not chaos. Clearly, there was no mob.
But if it stops a vote, is that
well,
too much?
And Steve, you
did it stop the vote?
You can characterize it that way if you want to, but I think you slant it. You saw people down there that observed the process of democracy. You saw people there not understanding that if one political party has the majority, they're going to get their agenda done. Hell or high water is going to get done. And that's what was going on last night, and that's what people saw. And so to sit up and say that they were a mob, there wasn't a mob there. They saw democracy in action.
Let's not do name calling.
I guess to turn it around, and I don't know if you called me slanted in that, but if it was the Tea Party doing the same thing, what would be your view if a Tea Party crowd was doing the same thing?
The reality is this.
Because that would be citizens too, correct?
May I respond?
Sure.
Okay. The reality is this. If the Tea Party saw a majority party that they were not affiliated with doing the things that was done last night, I would be able to understand their response.
So you would not have a problem with it?
No, if they saw what was going on last night and they responded.
Well, they might show up there in the next session, right?
No, but here's the deal. If people really care about this issue, they will show up, okay? I don't care what part of the spectrum you're on, right or left on this thing. If you care about these issues, you will show up in Austin. Look at what happened on social media.
So you're saying show up, which is inviting people. So you want this to happen next week too? Is that cool?
Let me say this one more time. You let me know what you don't understand. If they care about this issue, they should show up.
In the chamber and be loud.
However they want to show up, they should show up. They can show up on the internet, through social media. You think about what happened to social media last night.
Drew people in. Is it okay if they show up?
If you don't mind, I'd like to answer the question because our rules are very clear. And the crowd was told on 3 different occasions when we started the filibuster and then 2 other occasions after that. And I will tell you, whether they're my supporters or whether they're in opposition to my beliefs, it's inappropriate to create such a ruckus within the Senate chambers that we cannot conduct our business and follow the rules that we've been laid out after being warned. And I don't care if it's the Tea Party, it's not right.
Senator West, I think it's interesting.
Let me be real clear. I agree. No, I agree. I agree with him in terms of violation of the rules.
Okay, you do agree. Because I was going to say, you think that's fine, but I saw you cry quiet in the crowd, so why were you doing that if it's not fine?
But that's not what was originally said.
The reality is this. I agree with him in terms of maintaining decorum.
Okay.
Okay? Now, the question is, in this instance, why was decorum not maintained? Because people in the gallery was viewing the process, and they didn't like what they saw. Many of us on the floor didn't like what we were seeing either, but we recognize that that's kind of the rules of engagement in this particular process.
Does it open up a door for more of this? Is that worrying?
Yeah, you know, Steve, in that vein, we're elected. I'm elected by my constituents, and look, a large number of the Tea Party crowd, they like me, and I'm thankful for that. It's my job to represent them. It's also my job to remind them when they come to the Capitol, which is their capital, that there's a decorum that they need to abide by. And if that were to occur with my supporters, I would encourage them to follow proper decorum so we could be about our business and the business of the state, which we were not allowed to.
And you know what? The reality is, I agree with him. But again, the citizens of the state of Texas saw what was happening last night. And I agree, we should maintain decorum in this body or any other body. But let's make sure we focus in on the issue. If people care about passage or or non-passage of SB 5, they need to show up. And you asked me, Steve, how to show up. You can show up by getting on social media. You know what happened today. Social media has blown up.
24 hours.
And if people want to get additional information on this issue, they can. I'm trying to get into social media now. Hashtag, all right, Texas second special session. Hashtag Texas second 2N special session.
Okay, that's the communication line right there. All right, I didn't think you guys would agree about what happened last night. Not surprising.
In a way, we do.
Well,
On some things.
about decorum, you agreed right on it.
He's learning. He's learning.
Special session number 2 starts Monday. We'll see how it plays out in Austin. Gentlemen, thank you. Senators, thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.
Senator West,
Thanks, Steve.
Senator Hancock, thank you.